He would never make it back to shore. I dropped my pill bottle upon hearing my son's ruthless scheme. My name is Henry Thompson, and I am 75 years old. For the past 18 months, I have been feigning Alzheimer's disease to evaluate my family's devotion. But I just uncovered that my son Peter has been plotting to eliminate me forever on what he presented as a generous cruise. Before we continue, subscribe Revenge with Thomas. Turn on notifications, because we have new stories every day. Leave a like, and tell us in the comments what city you're watching from. The cruise pamphlet on their side table was not for a leisure trip. It was for a one-way journey from which I would never return. Peter's voice trembled as he confided in his wife Lucy. The insurance will handle it all once he is out of the picture. I should have retreated or challenged them right then. But instead, I did what any former attorney would do. I began collecting proof. My coffee cup shook in my grip as I shuffled back to my bedroom, pretending I had overheard nothing. "Dad, everything all right back there?" Peter called out with feigned warmth. "Just fine, son. Just fine." The following morning, I behaved more disoriented than ever. Peter and Lucy observed me intently. Their phony worry as thick as syrup. I let my spectacles slide down my nose. Peering at the newspaper, I concealed my morning medications instead of taking them. I snapped pictures of papers when they were not watching. "Dad, you skipped your meds again," Lucy said, her tone laced with artificial kindness. "I'm just weary, dear, so very weary." But my thoughts were as keen as a blade. I discovered medical cruise experts in Peter's search history, sites about compassionate end-of-life services at sea, discussions on how maritime mishaps befall senior travelers. Peter had investigated it all. International waters, no legal oversight, payouts for unintended fatalities. My own son had orchestrated my demise with meticulous precision. Lucy's inexpensive scent turned my stomach as she hovered over my overlooked pills. Peter's hands left perspiration stains on every paper he handled. They believed they were so meticulous, so ingenious. They had no clue they faced a man who had constructed legal arguments for 45 years, who knew how to record facts, who grasped that the strongest shield is a flawless assault. I required more details. How extensive was this? How long had they schemed? "We ought to reserve the cruise shortly," Lucy murmured to Peter, "while he is still controllable." They hosted a birthday gathering for me 4 days afterward, a festivity of my 75th year, and unwittingly what they assumed would be my final one. The family room brimmed with kin I seldom encountered anymore. Relatives, nieces and nephews, Peter's colleagues, all assembled to behold Peter's lavish present to his ailing, fading father. I enacted my role flawlessly, muddled on names, unsure of timelines, appreciative yet perplexed by their focus. Lucy set up her phone to capture it all, proof for afterward. I discerned evidence that I was cognitively impaired when Peter extended his benevolent proposal. The birthday cake remained uneaten on the end table, vanilla with cream icing. It appeared lovely, but I could not ingest a morsel. Everything tasted like dust. "Pete is such a dedicated son," my nephew Tom remarked, slapping Peter on the back. "Looking after you this way." "This cruise is incredibly kind," added Peter's associate Lisa. "You are fortunate to have him." Peter glowed under the acclaim. He revealed the cruise vouchers with a dramatic gesture, displaying them for all to view. "It is a Caribbean cruise. Dad, 3 weeks of splendid climate, excellent cuisine, serenity. You merit this, after all you have endured." The group voiced agreement. Camera flashes illuminated the space as Lucy documented each instant. But I spotted something more. My granddaughter Sophia lingered in the corner, observing me with keen gaze. She was not grinning like the rest. She was not accepting the facade. When our gazes locked across the room, she inclined her head subtly. An inquiry. An acknowledgement. Sophia was 17, clever as could be, aiming to pursue pre-law. She had always been perceptive, always posed the tough queries that unsettled grown-ups. "Grandpa," she murmured softly, nearing my seat. "Are you thrilled about the cruise?" I gazed into her youthful countenance, perceiving wisdom and worry. "I am thankful, darling. Your dad has labored so diligently to care for me." She assented gradually, but her eyes conveyed another tale. She sensed something amiss. The celebration proceeded around us. Additional snapshots. More commendation for Peter's altruistic tending. Lucy arranged group photos with the cruise vouchers prominently shown. "This will create such a marvelous keepsake," Lucy enthused, fine-tuning the lens angle. Indeed, it would be, just not the sort of memento she anticipated. As attendees started departing, each embraced me farewell. Some mentioned they would miss me during my absence. Others jested about mailing postcards. None realized they were bidding eternal goodbye. Peter escorted the final visitors to their vehicles. Lucy tidied wrapping materials and vacant dishes. I remained in my chair, clutching the cruise vouchers in my quivering hands, not quivering from senescence or bewilderment, quivering with fury. Sophia dawdled by the entrance. "Grandpa, may I come see you tomorrow, just the two of us?" "Certainly, darling. Whenever you like." After her exit, the residence grew quiet, save for Peter and Lucy's hushed scheming in the kitchen. "The vessel departs in 8 weeks," Peter stated. "That provides time to manage the forms, and time for his state to decline." Lucy appended, "More substantiation." I creased the cruise vouchers meticulously and tucked them into my shirt pocket. Substantiation indeed, that evening, while Peter and Lucy slumbered. I examined Peter's study. His filing method unveiled the breadth of their plotting. Insurance contracts with fresh recipient alterations. Authority delegation papers awaiting my endorsement. Health summaries depicting my worsening status. Summaries I had never sanctioned. My hands trembled as I captured images of each record, not from Alzheimer's, but from sheer outrage. Bank records displayed Peter's betting obligations. Charge cards exhausted. Creditor charges mounting daily. He owed $250,000 to individuals who rejected installment arrangements. A wrinkled missive tumbled from behind his desk compartment. The header chilled my veins. East Coast Recovery Agency. Mr. Thompson. This constitutes your ultimate warning. Remittance of $250,000 plus fees is required forthwith. Persistent delinquency will lead to enforcement measures against you and your kin. We are aware of your employment location. We are aware of your father's residence. The missive bore a date from 3 months prior. All elements aligned. Peter was not merely avaricious. He was frantic, petrified. The cruise concerned not inheritance funds. It concerned endurance. But that excused no homicide. I uncovered additional records concealed in his desk. Online inquiries regarding life coverage disbursements. Boards debating mishap-prone ship zones. Reproduced pieces about senior voyagers who had plunged overboard. Peter had conducted thorough research. International waters signified restricted inquiry. My supposed advanced Alzheimer's implied I could stray, grow disoriented, tumble overboard by mishap, an impeccable offense. I photographed it all. The menacing correspondences, the wagering debts, the fabricated health summaries, the coverage modifications. 45 years of juridical practice had instilled one principle. Chronicle everything. Construct an impregnable argument. Offer facts, not sentiments. But I unearthed something further that shattered my spirit. Concealed behind kin portraits was Peter's diary. His script became more unsteady with each notation. Dad no longer recalls my name. Perhaps this is compassion. He is deteriorating. Lucy claims it is preferable this way. If he vanishes, we can all proceed. He will suffer no longer. Peter had persuaded himself that assassinating me was benevolent. The concluding notation dated from the prior day. The cruise is secured. 8 weeks. I cannot bear his perplexed expression anymore. This will benefit all. I shut the diary and restored it to its concealment. Peter truly thought I was fading into senility, that I was already absent, merely awaiting my physique to pursue my intellect. He had never surmised that his muddled, oblivious father was in fact cataloging every dialogue, imaging every record, assembling a dossier that would ruin him. But I experienced something unforeseen: compassion. Peter was submerging. The wagering, the obligations, the menaces. They had propelled him to a realm where slaying his father appeared the sole resolution. Lucy differed. Her diary entries were methodical, detached. She had outlined coverage disbursements, deliberated Peter's legacy, envisioned their obligation-free tomorrow. She was not frantic. She was exploitative. I amassed my substantiation and retreated to my chamber. 8 weeks till the cruise. 8 weeks to determine how to address this. I could summon the authorities, have them detained, dispatch my son to incarceration. Or I could be shrewder. I could surpass them at their own scheme. The subsequent morning, I contacted my former law associate, Elizabeth, under the guise of perplexity regarding my documents. "Henry, you sound anxious," she remarked after I detailed my apprehensions about household finances. "I believe people might be exploiting my condition. Elizabeth, I require assistance." We convened at her firm that afternoon. Elizabeth, astute as always at 77, heated as I disclosed the reality. "Good Lord, Henry, how long have you been enacting this charade?" 18 months. I sought to assess their fidelity. You never envisioned they would scheme to slay you. She concluded. "What do you wish to accomplish?" I dispersed Peter's records across her meeting table. The wagering obligations, the coverage forms, the cruise reservations. "I desire to safeguard myself juridically, construct a case. If anything befalls me, I want them prosecuted." Elizabeth examined the substantiation with expert impartiality. "This constitutes senior mistreatment, coverage deception, plot to perpetrate homicide. Peter faces 30 to life, Lucy as an accomplice." "I know, but I require more than substantiation. I require shielding." We devoted 4 hours formulating my approach. First, annul all authority delegations. Peter could no longer render juridical choices for me. Second, revise my testament. All would transfer to Sophia and chosen philanthropies. Peter would obtain naught. Third, institute an unalterable trust. My holdings would be secured even if I grew genuinely disabled. Fourth, chronicle everything. Concealed recorders, sound captures, pictorial substantiation. "If they proceed with this cruise scheme," Elizabeth stated, "we will have them solidly. What if they reconsider abort the cruise?" "Then you have shielded yourself from monetary abuse. Either outcome, you prevail." Elizabeth's assistant authenticated each record. I endorsed papers with my father's antique fountain pen, the one he employed to establish his juridical practice 65 years past. Each endorsement felt like fortification. Each sheet erected a juridical bastion around my existence and holdings. "There is one additional matter," Elizabeth mentioned. "Individual safeguarding. If Peter grows sufficiently frantic to slay you, he might not await the cruise. I have contemplated that. I am altering the locks, enhancing security, generating audit trails wherever I proceed. Wise. And Henry, cease enacting the Alzheimer's sufferer. You are keener than most attorneys half your age. I shredded an old kin photograph on my departure. Peter, Lucy, and me at last year's Thanksgiving meal. All beaming, all feigning. The image seemed emblematic. That kin was already deceased. Now I was merely formalizing it. Elizabeth accompanied me to my vehicle. When do you intend to confront them? When I am prepared, when all elements are aligned. And if they pursue you beforehand, they will not. They require me vital and compliant for 8 more weeks. After that, well, after that will not be their determination anymore. I drove home with a satchel brimming with juridical records, authority revocations, trust pacts, revised testaments, coverage adjustments. Peter and Lucy thought they were engaging in chess. They did not realize I had been engaging for 45 years longer. That night, Peter inquired about my physician visit. Just standard paperwork. Son, nothing significant. Did you recall to take your pills? Lucy prompted. I never overlook when she is nearby. He grinned, thinking I was praising his wife's attentiveness. I was actually chronicling her methodical poisoning, the gentle tranquilizers she had been infusing into my coffee for months, the cognition-impairing substances concealed in my supplements, the precise administration intended to render my Alzheimer's more persuasive. But I had been discarding those pills for weeks. My intellect was more lucid than ever. Tomorrow I would initiate the subsequent stage, altering locks, fortifying accounts, erecting an impenetrable obstruction around my existence. Let them scheme their crews. I was scheming something far more enduring. I commenced modestly, limits they would not instantly detect. The supplements Lucy delivered each dawn went directly into my shirt pocket rather than my mouth. The coffee she concocted with such diligence got poured into the lavatory basin when she was not observing. Within 4 days, my mind felt more lucid. The haze I had ascribed to age dissipated like dawn fog. I had been medicated for months. You appear more vigilant today, Dad. Peter observed over breakfast, doubt seeping into his tone. Good days and bad days. Son, the physician says that is typical. But I began preparing my own repasts. Simple fare, cereal, eggs, bread. I can assist with that, Lucy proposed, extending for my skillet. I need to occupy my hands. Aids with the disorientation. I established fresh bank credentials that afternoon, generated new profiles at another institution, shifted funds in modest sums that would not activate notifications. Peter believed he possessed access to my finances. He was mistaken. I planted a vegetable patch in my backyard. Tomatoes, lettuce, carrots, fresh sprouts emerging in rich earth. The manual labor felt beneficial. Soil beneath my nails, sunlight on my back, vitality sprouting from seeds. Mrs. Smith from adjacent watched me toil. Have not seen you gardening in ages, Henry. Needed a fresh endeavor, something to cultivate. She aided me position the plant labels, her seasoned hands firm on the tiny posts. Peter mentions you are experiencing some troubles. Peter mentions many things. Mrs. Smith scrutinized my visage. She had been a caregiver for 35 years before retiring. She recognized the distinction between disorientation and clarity. You seem all right to me, Henry. Some days are superior to others. I irrigated the sprouts attentively. Each vegetation symbolized something I was reclaiming. My well-being, my finances, my tomorrow. That night, Peter spotted the vegetable patch through the cooking area window. When did you sow those? This afternoon. Cannot recall precisely when. He scowled. The structured rows, the exact intervals, the deliberate plant choice. None resembled the labor of someone with senility. Perhaps I should aid you with the gardening. Dad, ensure you do not overexert. I can handle it. It is just vegetation. But I could perceive him computing, pondering if I was more capable than I seemed. Lucy delivered my evening medications as customary. I concealed them adeptly, allowing her to believe I had ingested them. Your complexion looks improved, she commented. More vigor today. The gardening assisted, kept my hands occupied. Well, do not exhaust yourself. You need your stamina for the cruise. 8 weeks, I mused. 8 weeks until they anticipate me to embark that vessel. I irrigated my vegetables again before rest. The tomatoes were already developing true foliage. The lettuce displayed hints of green. By the time the cruise ship departed harbor, this patch would be prospering, and I would still be here to nurture it. Mrs. Smith emerged at my barrier the next dawn as I irrigated the vegetable patch. Henry, may I inquire something? Of course. Linda. Peter has been requesting me to monitor you. Says you are having recollection issues. I persisted irrigating, pondering my reply cautiously. What do you believe do I appear disoriented to you? She examined me for an extended moment. You sowed those vegetables in impeccable rows, gauged the spacing, selected plants that harmonize. That is not the work of someone with senility. I placed down the irrigating container and met her gaze. Linda, I need to disclose something, but I require your assurance that you will keep it confidential. You have it. I am not ill. Peter and Lucy think I am, but I am not. They are plotting something challenging. Her expression solidified. 35 years of caregiving had exposed her to every variety of senior mistreatment. What sort of something I informed her about the cruise, the eavesdropped dialogue, the coverage records. Not all, but sufficient. Those scoundrels, she whispered. What can I do? Observe the residence when I'm absent. Chronicle who arrives and departs. If anything occurs to me, contact this number. I provided her Elizabeth's contact card. Henry, you cannot embark that cruise. I must. It is the only method to acquire enough substantiation to halt them definitively. What if you do not return? Then you will have this dialogue recorded on your device. Will you not? She appeared puzzled until I indicated her mobile device, which had been capturing our whole exchange. Clever man, always reasoning like an attorney. Some practices never fade. We created a protocol. Linda would note every caller, every shipment, every dubious action. She would image anyone who accessed my residence while I was purportedly on the cruise. Peter and Lucy think I will vanish at sea, when I do not. When I return securely, their response will reveal everything we need. And if they attempt to prevent your return, then we will have attempted homicide on record. Linda brought me fresh pastries that afternoon, homemade chocolate chip, still warm from her oven. Thought you might be famished after all that gardening. Thank you, Linda. You are very gracious. We sat on my rear veranda, sharing pastries and observing the vegetable patch grow. Your tomatoes are progressing nicely, she said. It is astonishing what develops when you provide it proper attention. And what perishes when you do not, she comprehended perfectly. Peter returned from employment as Linda was departing. He observed our interaction with evident doubt. What did Mrs. Smith want? She brought pastries. We discussed gardening. You seem to have an extended conversation. She is solitary. Her spouse passed last year. Right. Well, try not to trouble the neighbors. Dad, we do not want them fretting about you. I will be more cautious, son. But Linda was no longer merely a neighbor. She was a confederate. Elizabeth and I devoted the following week erecting my juridical bastion element by element. First, the authority revocation. I endorsed the records at her firm with 2 observers and a certifier present. This annuls all prior authorizations, Elizabeth clarified as I signed. Peter no longer possesses any juridical power over your matters. The ink felt enduring under my pen. Conclusive. Next, the fresh testament, all restructured to protect what mattered most. Your estate will transfer chiefly to Sophia's learning fund, with lesser sums to charities. Peter receives nothing. What about Lucy? Lucy was never in your initial testament. She remains excluded from this one. I signed each sheet deliberately. My father's fountain pen scraped across the juridical papers, securing Peter's financial destiny, or absence thereof. The trust records followed, unalterable, unbreakable, designed to shield my assets even if I became truly incapacitated. If something befalls you, Elizabeth said, Sophia becomes the trust recipient at age 25. Until then, the assets are administered by the institution. And if Peter contests it, he can attempt, but you are clearly competent. The records are properly attested, and he has no juridical footing. We proceeded to the institution afterward. New profiles, different establishment, necessitating 2 endorsements for any transaction. The vault entrance closed with a gratifying thud as I positioned duplicates of all records in my secure deposit container. Sir, the institution official said, these demand special management. Should anything occur to you, these directives will be adhered to precisely. Thank you. We sat in her vehicle afterward, reviewing our labor. You have constructed a juridical barrier around yourself, Henry. Peter cannot access your assets, cannot render medical choices, cannot inherit anything. What about the criminal argument? If they proceed with the cruise scheme, we will have plot, attempted homicide, senior mistreatment, coverage deception, multiple offenses, and if they retreat, then you have safeguarded yourself from financial mistreatment and can live tranquilly. I examined the institution receipt in my grasp, profile numbers, endorsement cards, safety measures. There is one more thing I need. Elizabeth, what is that? If I vanish, if something transpires to me before the cruise, I want this to activate automatically. Authorities' inquiry, immobilized assets, immediate detention orders. Consider it accomplished. We drove back to my residence in comfortable quietude. The juridical apparatus was now in operation, unstoppable as a cargo locomotive. Peter's vehicle was in my driveway when we reached. Want me to enter? Elizabeth inquired. No, let me manage this solo. Peter greeted me at the entrance, his countenance taut with doubt. Where were you? Dad, I was concerned. Physician's appointment. Just routine. You were absent for 5 hours. They had to perform examinations. You know how clinics are. He did not trust me, but he could not substantiate anything. Dad, perhaps I should begin attending your appointments with you, help you recollect what the physicians say. That is very considerate, son, but I can manage. Are you certain you seem altered lately? Altered how? More alert, more like your former self. I smiled sorrowfully. Good days and bad days. Peter, the physicians say that is typical. But I could see the gears turning in his mind. He was beginning to wonder if his disoriented, defenseless father was more conscious than he appeared. That night, I overheard him conversing with Lucy in the kitchen. Something has shifted, he said. He is not as disoriented as before. Alzheimer's has good days and bad days. This feels distinct, more intentional. You are being suspicious. Adhere to the scheme. I irrigated my vegetable patch in the deepening twilight. The plants were sturdier now, more rooted, like my juridical safeguards. 8 weeks until the cruise. 8 weeks until Peter and Lucy discovered just how conscious their disoriented father really was. The next dawn, I summoned a key specialist. "I need all the locks replaced," I informed him. "Someone has been accessing my residence without permission." Peter's key no longer functioned when he attempted to visit that afternoon. He rapped in frustration. "Dad, what is wrong with my key?" "I had the locks altered. Been having some intrusion concerns." "Intrusions? Did you contact the authorities?" "Just being prudent. A man my age cannot be too vigilant." I handed him a new key, observing his countenance attentively. "Here's your duplicate. Try not to misplace it." He pocketed the key, but I could see him computing, wondering what else I might have modified. I established a postal container at the mail office that same day. All my vital correspondence would now direct there. Health records, institution statements, juridical documents. "This is a secure container," the postal worker explained. "Only you have entry." "Perfect. That is exactly what I need." I updated my privacy forms at the physician's office, removing Peter and Lucy from my approved contacts roster. "From now on," I said to the caregiver, "all medical choices require my written approval. No exceptions." "But what if you are disabled?" "Then you follow the emergency contact I have listed. No one else." Elizabeth's number was now the sole authorization on file. I installed surveillance devices around my residence that night. Small concealed units that recorded everything. The device in my kitchen captured Lucy delivering my morning coffee. The one in my chamber recorded me concealing the pills she thought I was ingesting. Everything was being chronicled now. Peter noticed the devices 3 days later. "Dad, what are these?" "Security setup. Been having some suspicious occurrences." "What kind of occurrences?" "People coming and going when I am not here. Items relocated." It was not entirely false. They had been coming and going, searching through my papers, plotting my vanishing. "Maybe you just forgot where you placed things." "Maybe. But the devices helped me recall." I could see him wondering what those devices had already captured. That afternoon, I updated my emergency contacts everywhere. The medical center, my physician's office, the institution, the coverage company. Elizabeth's name replaced Peter's on every form. "Sir," the medical center registrar said, "are you sure about removing your son from your emergency contacts?" "I am sure. Family dynamics shift. I need someone I can trust absolutely." I opened new institution profiles at a fourth establishment, this one requiring biological identification for any dealings. My fingerprint and eye scan were now the only keys to my finances. The fund transfers were complete. Peter thought he had access to my profiles, but those profiles now contained exactly $200 each. My real assets were protected behind multiple security walls. I tested the system that night, called the institution, requested them to verify my profile balance. "I am sorry, sir, but that information can only be released with proper verification. Can you come in person?" "Perfect. That is exactly what I wanted to hear." My phone rang 2 hours later. "Dad, I tried to pay your utility bill today, but there was some issue with your profile." "What kind of issue?" "They said they could not access the funds." "Maybe you should call them." "I will handle it tomorrow." "Son, thanks for trying to help." But I could hear the irritation in his voice. His financial access to my life was gone. I irrigated my vegetable patch before rest. The tomatoes were abundant now, the lettuce aromatic and robust like my defenses. 5 weeks until the cruise. 5 weeks until Peter and Lucy discovered they had been outsmarted by the disoriented old man they thought they were controlling. I activated my security system for the night, movement sensors, entrance detectors, device recording. If they attempted anything desperate before the cruise, I would have it all on video. Sleep came easily now. Not the medicated oblivion Lucy had been imposing on me, but natural repose. The repose of a man who had seized control of his own existence. Elizabeth and I met one final time at her firm. The complete substantiation package lay dispersed across her meeting table like pieces of an intricate puzzle. "This is everything?" she asked, reviewing the records. "Everything. Financial logs, medical deception, cruise reservations, menacing letters from creditors, and the captures, sound, video, images, all properly timed and attested." I signed the concluding records with my father's fountain pen. The gold tip scraped across the juridical papers, sealing Peter's fate. Each endorsement felt like armor being affixed in place. "If anything befalls you," Elizabeth said, "this all becomes evidence in a criminal prosecution. Multiple offenses. Henry, Peter is looking at 30 to life. And Lucy, accessory to attempted homicide, senior mistreatment, coverage deception, 20 years minimum." I sealed the substantiation package with crimson wax, pressing my father's emblem ring into the warm seal. "The institution has duplicates in the secure deposit container. You have duplicates in your firm's safe. Mrs. Smith has a key to the postal container." "What about the criminal sequence? If I vanish during the cruise, the package opens automatically. Authorities' inquiry commences immediately." Elizabeth studied my visage with concern. "Henry, you do not have to do this. We have enough substantiation now to detain them. For plot and senior mistreatment, yes, but not for attempted homicide. I need them to actually attempt it. That is incredibly perilous. I have been a litigation attorney for 45 years. Elizabeth, I know how to build an airtight argument." She slid a contact card across the table. "Detective Johnson, Florida authorities. He specializes in seafaring offenses. I have informed him of your situation." "What did you tell him?" "That a client might become the victim of a staged mishap at sea. He is prepared to investigate immediately if something transpires." I pocketed the card attentively. "And if nothing transpires, if they abort the cruise, then you have protected yourself and will pursue the financial offenses. Either way, justice is served." We walked to the institution together. The vault entrance swung open with a heavy thud. I placed the sealed substantiation package in my secure deposit container next to my updated testament and trust records. "Sir," the institution official said, "these instructions are quite precise. Should we be concerned?" "Just following my attorney's counsel. Estate planning can be complex." Elizabeth and I stood outside the institution afterward. The afternoon sun felt warm on my shoulders. "I have done everything I can juridically," she said. "The rest is up to you. Thank you, Elizabeth, for everything. Henry, promise me you will be careful on that cruise." "I promise I will be shrewder than they are." I drove home leisurely, savoring the sensation of complete juridical protection. My residence appeared different now. Not just my home, but my stronghold. Surveillance devices recorded every perspective. New locks secured every ingress. Hidden substantiation documented every offense. Peter's vehicle was in the driveway when I arrived. "Dad, we need to discuss the cruise." My pulse accelerated. Were they withdrawing? What about it? The reservation agent called. They need final confirmation and medical approval forms. Relief surged through me. They were still intending to proceed. Medical forms. Just standard items proving you are fit enough to travel. Lucy emerged from the kitchen holding a stack of papers. I have completed most of it. Henry, just need your endorsement. I read through the forms attentively. Health background, emergency contacts, coverage details, everything designed to make my accidental demise appear legitimate. These look acceptable, I said, signing each page. The ship departs in 4 weeks. Peter said, "Are you excited?" "Very much so. It will be an adventure." "Yes," Lucy added quietly. "It certainly will be." That night, I sat in my vegetable patch as the sun set. The plants were thriving now, full and aromatic. I had spent the day sealing my juridical legacy, protecting my assets, documenting their crimes, ensuring justice would be served. But sitting among the vegetables I had planted, I felt something unexpected. Peace. Not because I had outmaneuvered them, but because I had chosen truth over deception. For 18 months, I had lived a falsehood to test their loyalty. That test had revealed their true character, but it had also tainted mine. Tomorrow, I would stop pretending to have Alzheimer's. I would face them as myself. Let them try to explain why a healthy, competent man needed to vanish at sea. The substantiation was sealed. The juridical machinery was in motion. Time to remove the mask. I found Peter in my kitchen the next morning preparing my usual medicated coffee. "Good morning, son." "Morning, Dad. How are you feeling, Wah?" "Clear. Sharper than I have felt in months." He handed me the coffee cup. I set it down without drinking. Dad, you should take your medicine." "I never had Alzheimer's." "Peter." The words fell like stones into still water. Peter's face went pale. "What?" "I have been pretending for 18 months. Testing you. Testing your loyalty. That is impossible. The physicians were never consulted. I forged the medical reports you found." I opened a drawer and pulled out the substantiation folder. "I know about the wagering debts, the creditors, the cruise plan." Peter's hands began shaking. "Dad, I do not know what you think. I know you have been poisoning my coffee, tranquilizers to make me more compliant." I showed him photos of Lucy crushing pills into my morning cup. "I know about the coverage policy changes, making yourself the recipient." Bank documents spread across the kitchen table. "I know about the cruise booking, the websites you researched about senior passengers going overboard." "Dad, please. You do not understand. I understand that my own son planned to murder me." Peter collapsed into a chair, his face in his hands. "We are desperate. Dad, the people I owe money to, they are going to kill us. So you decided to kill me instead. We thought you were already gone. The Alzheimer's. There is no Alzheimer's. There never was." I placed the recording device on the table between us. "This conversation is being recorded. Peter, everything you say is evidence." "Evidence of what?" "Plot to commit murder, senior mistreatment, coverage fraud." Peter looked up, his eyes frantic. "You cannot prove anything. I can prove everything. Financial records, medical documents, sound recordings, video evidence." "Video. Surveillance devices throughout the house. I have footage of Lucy drugging my coffee, you searching through my papers, both of you planning my vanishing." Peter stood abruptly, pacing the kitchen. "Dad, we can fix this. Cancel the cruise. Forget the whole thing. It is too late for that." "What do you mean?" "The substantiation is already with my attorney and the authorities." "The authorities? If anything happens to me, if I vanish, if I have an accident, you will be arrested within 24 hours. Peter's face crumbled. I never wanted to hurt you, Dad. I do not know how this got so out of hand. You wanted to hurt me the moment you decided I was disposable. That is not how it was. That is exactly how it was. I gathered the substantiation papers. I am not your disoriented, helpless father anymore. Peter, I am a competent adult who has documented your crimes. What happens now? Now you live with the consequences of your choices. And the cruise. Oh, we are still going on the cruise. Peter's eyes widened. What? I want to see how far you are willing to go. I want the attempted murder charge. Dad, no. Please. You made your choice, Peter. Now I am making mine. I walked toward my bedroom, leaving him sitting in the kitchen with the evidence of his betrayal spread across the table. I never had Alzheimer's. I called back to him. But I wish I could forget what you planned to do to me. Lucy arrived 2 hours later, her footsteps clicking sharply across my kitchen floor. Peter called me, she said without introduction. He is having some kind of breakdown. Good morning to you too, Lucy. Cut the disoriented old man act. Henry. Peter told me everything. I smiled calmly. Then you know I have been documenting your crimes for months. We have not committed any crimes. I placed her diary on the table. Her precise handwriting filled every page with calculations about coverage payouts and inheritance timelines. Henry's life coverage will pay $3 million, plus the house value and retirement profiles. We are looking at $5 million total. Lucy's face tightened. That is just planning. Financial planning. If Henry has an accident during the cruise, there is no investigation period. International waters mean quick payouts. You had no right to read my private diary. You had no right to plan my murder. I opened another folder. Video evidence of you drugging my coffee. Sound recordings of you discussing my accident. Financial records showing you have been stealing from my profiles. Those profiles were opened in Peter's name with forged authority documents. That is identity theft and fraud. Lucy sat down hard, her composure finally cracking. We are in debt, Henry. Serious debt to dangerous people. I know about the creditors. I have seen their threats. Then you understand why we had to do something. I understand why you are desperate. I do not understand why murder seemed like the solution. You were disappearing anyway. The Alzheimer's was taking you away piece by piece. There is no Alzheimer's. Lucy, there never was. She stared at me. That is impossible. I have been testing you, both of you, to see what you would do when you thought I was vulnerable. Testing us. And you failed spectacularly. Lucy's mask slipped completely. Her voice turned cold, calculating. So what now you turn us in? Destroy your own family. I did not destroy this family. Lucy, you did. Peter will go to prison. Peter made his choice when he decided to kill me. And what about Sophia? You will orphan your own granddaughter. Sophia will be fine. She will be better off without parents who think murder is acceptable. I stood up, indicating the conversation was over. I did not choose to exclude you from my life, Lucy. I chose to protect myself from people who wanted me dead. This is not over, Henry. Yes, it is. You are no longer welcome in this house. I held out my hand. House keys. Both sets. Lucy reluctantly handed over the keys. Peter will fight this. Peter can try, but the evidence is overwhelming. She walked to the door, then turned back. You are making a mistake. No, Lucy. The mistake was thinking I was helpless. After she left, I changed the alarm codes and updated the security system. The house felt cleaner somehow, lighter. 3 weeks until the cruise. 3 weeks until they discovered just how thoroughly they had been outmaneuvered. Sophia knocked on my door that night, alone, just as I had hoped. "Hi, Grandpa. Can we talk?" "Of course, sweetheart. Come in." She sat across from me in the living room, her young face serious and concerned. "Dad has been acting really strange. Mom, too. They keep whispering and looking upset." "What kind of strange?" "Scared strange. Like they are in trouble." I studied my granddaughter carefully. 17 years old, intelligent, observant. She deserved the truth. "Sophia, I need to tell you something important, but I need your promise that you will listen to everything before you react." "Okay." For the past 18 months, I have been pretending to have Alzheimer's disease. Her eyes widened. "Pretending why?" "To test your parents, to see how they would treat me when they thought I was vulnerable. And they failed the test badly." I pulled out the substantiation folder. "Your father owes money to dangerous people. A lot of money. Your parents decided the solution was to kill me and collect my life coverage." Sophia's face went pale. "Kill you? That is crazy. They booked a cruise, planned to make it look like I fell overboard accidentally." I showed her the documents, the cruise booking, the coverage forms, the medical reports. But they love you. Dad always talks about taking care of you. People do terrible things when they are desperate, sweetheart." Sophia studied the papers with the same careful attention she brought to her schoolwork. "This is all real. Unfortunately, yes. What happens now? That depends on you, on me. I want to give you a choice. You can continue having a relationship with your parents, pretending none of this happened. Or you can choose to have a relationship with me based on complete honesty. But not both. Not both. I will not pretend anymore. Sophia, I will not lie about who I am or what happened." She was quiet for a long time, processing everything. "If I choose you, what happens to Mom and Dad?" "They will likely go to prison. The evidence is overwhelming. And if I choose them, then you will never see me again. I cannot be around people who tried to kill me, even if they are family." Sophia stood up and walked to the window, looking out at my vegetable patch. "You planted those vegetables after you found out, did you not?" "How did you know?" "Because you are not disoriented. You never were. The spacing is too perfect. The plant selection too smart." She turned back to me. "I have been watching you, Grandpa, at family gatherings when you seemed disoriented. Your eyes were always alert, always watching. What else did you notice? Mom bringing you pills you did not need. Dad going through your mail when you were not looking. Both of them talking about money all the time. And what did you think? I thought something was wrong, but I never imagined murder." Sophia sat back down, her face determined. "I choose you, Grandpa. I choose the truth. Even if it means your parents go to prison. They chose prison when they chose murder." Relief flooded through me. "There are conditions. Sophia, no more lies between us. No pretending. If you ask me a question, I will give you an honest answer. Even if the answer hurts. Especially then. Deal." We shook hands solemnly. "What happens next? Your parents still think they are going through with their plan. I am going to let them try. The cruise. I need them to actually attempt murder before I can have them arrested for it. That is dangerous. Not as dangerous as they think. I have got backup plans, substantiation packages, Authorities contacts. I will be protected. And after we start building a real relationship, one based on truth instead of games. Sophia hugged me carefully. I love you, Grandpa. The real you. I love you too, sweetheart. More than you know. As she walked to the door, she turned back. Grandpa, what should I tell Mom and Dad? Tell them whatever feels right. But remember, no more lies between us. No more lies. After she left, I sat in my vegetable patch in the deepening darkness. One relationship saved. One piece of family worth preserving. It would have to be enough. The next 3 weeks passed swiftly. I established new routines, new patterns, new ways of living that reflected who I really was. Every morning, I expanded my vegetable patch. Peppers, zucchini, beans. The small plot grew into something beautiful and productive. Mrs. Smith helped me build raised beds for better drainage. These vegetables will sustain you for years, she said, patting soil around a new carrot plant. That is the idea, sustainability. More than just the vegetables, I think. She was right. I was building a sustainable life. One based on truth, not deception. I volunteered at the Legal Aid Center 4 afternoons a week. Young attorneys seeking guidance on complex cases. Mr. Thompson, they would say. This senior mistreatment case is challenging. What would you recommend? Document everything. Build an airtight argument. Protect the victim first. Prosecute second. That is good advice. Experience teaches hard lessons. I established a scholarship fund in Sophia's name. Money for students pursuing pre-law education. We want to help young people understand justice, I told the university administrator. That is very generous. Justice delayed is justice denied. Better to start early. The paperwork felt satisfying. Money diverted from Peter's expected inheritance, now serving a higher purpose. I made one more donation that surprised everyone, including myself. A check to the Wagering Addiction Recovery Center, where Peter would likely be referred after his detention. This is for treatment programs, I told the director. Comprehensive rehabilitation. Is this donation in anyone's memory? In hope. In hope that people can change. The director looked puzzled, but grateful. I did not explain that the money was specifically for my son. Peter would need help dealing with his addiction after he got out of prison. If he got out of prison. My evenings were spent in the patch tending plants and thinking about the future. Sophia visited 3 times a week now. Real conversations about college plans, career goals, family history. Tell me about Dad when he was young, she asked one evening. He was brilliant, ambitious, always wanted to help people. What changed? Fear. I think. Fear of not being successful enough, not making enough money. Fear made him vulnerable to bad choices. Do you forgive him? I do not know yet. Ask me after the trial. We harvested vegetables together. Fresh tomatoes for salad, lettuce for sandwiches, carrots for everything. These taste different from store-bought, Sophia said, because they are grown with intention, with care, like relationships. Exactly like relationships. The cruise departure was now 2 weeks away. Peter had become increasingly agitated, suspicious of my improved mental state. Dad, maybe we should cancel the cruise. You seem different. Different how? Too sharp, too aware. I am having a good week. The physicians say that is normal. This does not feel normal. What feels normal? Peter planning your father's murder. He went pale. I never said anything about murder. You did not have to. But I could see him calculating, wondering how much I really knew, how much I remembered. Lucy had become openly hostile, no longer bothering with fake sweetness. This cruise better be worth it, she muttered, thinking I could not hear. It will be, I replied, more than you know. She spun around, startled. What did you say? I said I am looking forward to it. But her eyes narrowed. She knew something had changed. The night before departure, I sat in my patch one last time. The vegetables were thriving, lush, fragrant, productive, like the new life I was building. Tomorrow would bring the final test. Peter and Lucy's last chance to prove they were capable of murder. I irrigated each plant carefully, speaking to them softly. Take care of each other while I'm gone. I will be back to tend you soon. The patch would wait for me. Unlike my son and daughter-in-law, the plants knew how to be patient. 9 months later, I sat in my expanded patch reading the newspaper in the morning sunshine. The trial had ended 4 weeks ago. Peter, 25 years for plot to commit murder and senior mistreatment. Lucy, 20 years for accessory charges and financial fraud. The crews had been everything I had expected. Their confusion when I remained alert and healthy. Their panic when they realized their plan was failing. Their desperation when I revealed that everything had been recorded. The ship's security had arrested them before we reached international waters. Detective Johnson had been waiting at the dock when we returned to port. I picked up the old cruise pamphlet from my side table, the one they had used to plan my vanishing. One-way ticket. He is not coming back. Lucy had been right about one thing. I had not come back. The disoriented, helpless man who had boarded that ship had stayed at sea, in his place. I had returned as myself, clear-minded, self-determined, fully aware. I did not disappear. I appeared. Sophia knocked on my back gate. Morning, Grandpa. Ready for your driving lesson? Absolutely. She had turned 18 last month. College applications were due soon. Her essay about justice and family loyalty had been powerful enough to earn early admission to 4 law schools. Any word from Dad? A letter yesterday. He has entered the addiction program. Are you going to write back? Eventually, when I am ready. We walked to my car together. A new Toyota. Practical and reliable. The old vehicle had too many memories. Where do you want to practice today? I asked. Downtown. I need to get comfortable with city traffic. As we drove, I thought about Peter's letter. Apologetic, ashamed, asking for forgiveness he had not yet earned. Grandpa, Sophia said as we stopped at a traffic light, do you think people can really change? I think they can choose to change. Whether they succeed depends on how much work they are willing to do. And Dad, your father is learning that actions have consequences. Whether he learns anything else remains to be seen. The light turned green. Sophia navigated the intersection smoothly, confidently. I am proud of you, she said quietly. For what? For choosing yourself, for not letting them destroy you. I am proud of you too, for choosing truth over comfort. We drove in companionable silence until she spoke again. The vegetable patch looks amazing this year. It should. It has been growing for 9 months without interference. Like you, like both of us. That evening, I sat in my patch as the sun set. The tomatoes were ready for harvesting. The lettuce had grown into a proper crop. The carrots spread in fragrant clusters between the raised beds. Mrs. Smith waved from her barrier. Beautiful evening, Henry. Every evening is beautiful when you are free to enjoy it. Any regrets about the trial? No. About testing them in the first place? I considered the question carefully. Yes, I regret that. Playing sick, living a lie. It corrupted the relationship from the beginning. But it revealed their true nature. Maybe. Or maybe it created the circumstances that brought out their worst impulses. You will never know for sure. No. I will never know who they might have been if I trusted them from the start. I gathered vegetables for dinner, fresh tomatoes, aromatic lettuce, delicate carrots. Tomorrow, Sophia and I would cook together, plan her college visits, discuss her future, a future built on honesty instead of tests. The cruise pamphlet went into my compost bin that night, food for next year's patch. From deception, truth had grown. From manipulation, authentic relationship had flourished. I had not come back from that cruise. I had finally arrived. If you like this story, give the video a like, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments. To hear the next story, click on the box on the left. Thanks for watching.